Hey guys, it's Miss Reed. Today we're going to be talking about how to understand historical text using specific text structures, specifically the text structure of cause and effect. So in order to be able to follow along, you're going to need the student materials that looks just like this. And I'm also going to be bumping back and forth between this presentation. You also have access to this on Google Classroom. So, there's multiple types of text structures that authors use when they're writing historical text. The one we're going to be focusing on today is cause and effect. So, the reason why cause and effect is used to explain events that caused a result in something else happening, and that's the effect. So, the cause literally causes something else to happen, that's the effect. So examples and when you might see this in a text or in something that you read or learn about, an article about the effects of an earthquake, a blog about the effects of not getting enough sleep, also a historical article about like maybe why a war was caused. That is definitely a time you're going to read in your future about historical events with cause and effect structure. So let's look at our little cartoon on our first page of our text. So it says, look at the illustration below. One of the pictures shows an event that happened. The other shows why it happened. Think about which event is which. So the very first picture, the little boy looks sad. He looks upset. It appears something has happened because his bike has a flat tire. He's trying to figure it out. The second picture, the boy is happy and he's riding on his bike that does not appear to have a flat tire, and oh, what's that? It's a huge, ginormous tack that he's about to run over. So, obviously, in this picture, the cause would be he ran over a giant tack with his bicycle, and the effect is he got a flat tire. So, this is a pretty obvious one. One thing to note, though, about our chart is that it's actually in the reverse. It has the effect and what happened before it has the why or the cause. So just pay close attention when you're working, wherever you're working, about the order, and don't get it messed up. Just make sure you're reading it very carefully and paying close attention to it, because sometimes it could be the effect first and the cause second, or the cause first and the effect second, depending on the way that the author or the person who wrote the book sets up their tables. So now we're going to practice this by reading aloud the next text, which is the Model T. The Model T is this car down here. It used to be really, really, really popular. Super old-fashioned, but it used to be that everyone had one that had a car. So we're going to read about that. There's a couple different examples in here of cause and effect. Obviously, historical text. So we're going to be reading this, and we're going to be filling out our cause and effect chart. So the Model T. When the first cars were produced, only wealthy people could afford them. Henry Ford wanted to build a car that the average working person could afford. In 1908, the Ford Motor Company introduced a new low-cost car. It was called the Model T and sold for $825. Although the car was reasonably priced, Ford kept thinking of ways to make it even cheaper. He knew that the lower the price, the more customers he would gain and the more money he would make. Ford's early cars were all handcrafted. This meant that each automobile was slightly different from the next. It also meant that each took a long time to make. Ford decided his cars would no longer be handcrafted. They would be put together in exactly the same way, saving time and money. In 1913, Ford began producing cars with the help of a moving assembly line. The moving assembly line achieved Ford's goal of turning out a car faster and for increasingly lower prices. In time, Ford's factory was turning out one automobile every 90 minutes. It's so fast. By 1915, the Ford Motor Company was earning record profits. And by 1918, half of all cars in the United States were Model Ts. Almost overnight, the United States became a nation on wheels. So, you have a chart on the next page of your student materials. It says, how did the production of Henry Ford's Model T lead to more people owning cars? So, again, this is actually in reverse order. It has the effect listed on the first box and then the cause on the other side. So, what happened, and why. And it gives us two specific years, 1908 and 1913. So I've actually recreated this on my little PowerPoint thing right here. So what happened, the effect. In 1908, Ford introduced the low-cost Model T. So this is the effect. This is what happened. So we're looking for the why, the reason why he introduced the low-cost Model T in 1908. So, pro tip, it's asking about the year 1908. I'm going to go back in the text and I'm going to skim for wherever it's talking about the year 1908. That's going to make my life easier so I don't have to reread the whole text. So I've already found the year right here. It says in 1908, the Ford Motor Company introduced a new low-cost car. It was called the Model T and sold for $825. That doesn't tell me the reason why, though, that he introduced a new low-cost car. So I'm willing to bet that because this is the effect, the cause, the reason why this happened is probably going to come before it. So I'm going to read the sentence before this one. The sentence before this one says, Henry Ford wanted to build a car that the average working person could afford. Oh, so this is the reason why he introduced a new low-cost car, is because he wanted to build a car that the average working person could afford. So I'm going to fill that in on my chart. So Ford wanted to build a car that the average working person could afford. Alright, cool. So my next effect, what happened, says in 1913, Ford began using an assembly line to build cars. So again, I'm going to look back for where it mentions 1913. So I see right here, it says in 1913, Ford began producing cars with the help of a moving assembly line. So again, I know that this was listed as the effect on my chart. So I know that my cause always leads to this. So my cause would probably come before. So I'm going to read the sentence before. It says, two sentences before, Ford decided his cars would no longer be handcrafted. They would be put together in exactly the same way, saving time and money. In 1913, he began producing cars with the help of a moving assembly line. Okay, so the reason he created the assembly line was because he wanted to save time and money. It was taking too long. So that's what I'm going to put on my cause. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to read the next text about bicycles. I believe it's called the Bicycles First Century. And you're going to answer the comprehension questions on your Google Forms, and you're going to complete the Google Doc. If you have any questions, you can reach out on Google Classroom and let us know. We'll see you soon.